There you go. Alright. Controller's working. Just gonna muck around for a bit, I reckon. Absolutely exhausted. Figured I'd just... I say unwind, but we'll see how it goes. Return to this save of Crash Bandicoot that I was playing at some stage last year. A long time ago now. And just play a wee bit. So the objective is we're trying to get all the gems, and maybe we'll go for a few relics here and there too. We'll see how it goes. This game wasn't designed for any relics. But the Activision who remastered it said absolutely we need time trials on this one that wasn't designed for time trials, which means everything has a slightly strange quality to it. So today, yeah, I'm just, I don't know, too tired to manage anything else. I just spent the last 2-3 hours writing some serious work, and then another 2 hours before that having some serious discussion. Damn. So yeah, felt like unwinding with an old favorite of mine. Hey, how's it going? I think you were here for the last one of these that I did, right? Which was a long time ago now, but I seem to recall you happened to be able to make it. Yeah. I'm just gonna muck around today, I think. We'll see how we go. Just in the middle of writing a comment on your recent blog post. Guess I'll finish it later. Oh no, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Space Orcs and Stellaris living the dream? Yeah, that sounds pretty good to me. Oh, terrible. Only a sapphire. HGA. Oh, we gotta try that again. That was a terrible showing. Communist Space Orcs wasn't as exciting as I had hoped. I remember I tried to experiment. I tried to experiment, yeah, with some fun ones at some stage in Stellaris. I think I went with like sort of ultra corporate space foxes or something. They were all sort of this single mega corporation that had really good PR, or tried to have really good PR. Not sure if it was actually successful. And I think I did communist space moths as well. Not orcs. Oh damn, that sucks. It's always annoying when the AI spawn just gets in the way. How was that? Was that even worse? No, even better, but the same. Oddly enough, Divine Empire, Feudal Society, and Imperial Divinity actually works incredibly well. Okay, something to check then. If I ever get the chance to play Stellaris again. What do I need? I missed out on it by 13 milliseconds. God. Fatal Frame 4 yesterday, would highly recommend to you in the chat. I still really keen to buy and play that at some point. Would it be a suitable one to play and discuss blind on stream, do you think? Or would you be interested in watching it again? Awesome. Yeah, it's certainly one I wanna try and have a look at. Already replaying it. Okay, that's a high recommendation. Instantly replaying something is a really funny process. Okay, come on, that was fast enough, right? Yeah, there we go. That's better. Areas in the game are very detailed and tell stories. It's a very atmospheric game. Yeah, I'm really keen to delve into that, as you said at one point, with how every room sort of was made for a different person. Which, I mean, that's part of what interested me about Pathologic is how every building was made for a different person and with that different kind of intent. I think that that'll be really cool. No, keen to explore that further, and keen to try at some point the Resident Evil 4 remake and see what they've done with the controls. I heard someone the other day say that the controls for the original Resident Evil 4 dissuaded them from playing it. I think their exact words were the controls were arse or something, and I was insulted. I was insulted that they could claim that about the original Resident Evil 4, because it's got such beautiful purpose in how Leon stops to move. You know, how the actual placement of Leon's feet is profoundly important in how you play the game. It adds to the horror element. I don't know. That got me unreasonably angry as someone who spends way too much time theorizing. Why do you buy in? Exactly. Not Resident Evil 4, that person, apparently. Combat is not slow like in other Fatal Frame games. Combat is very fast and aggressive. Okay. It's been a while since I've actually played any of the other Fatal Frames. Sadly, yeah, the third one, I tried to play the third one, but I wasn't actually able to power through it all because my old PS2 disc copy that I bought just wasn't up to the task, apparently, and it would perform some serious lag and slowdown on my PS2, which is a shame. RE1, RE2, and their remakes. Boy, you play games faster than I do. That's amazing progress. How on earth did you manage? Wow, yeah. RE2's not a short game either, in particular. A lot of spare time at the moment. Okay, I have very little, so that makes me feel slightly better. Yeah, terrible. Okay. Resident Evil 1, I just played one character in each version, to be fair, also. Oh, okay. I was like, you finished Claire and Leon twice, and Chris and Jill twice? But, okay, yeah, that calms me down a little bit as well, yeah. Actually, yeah, to my shame, after you said that the other day, I realized I'd started playing the Claire story on the remake through at some point, but I never actually finished her story for some reason in the remake. So I did start going through that again after that stream, but I've not made it very far because of that piss gold free time kind of thing. But shouldn't have tanked that last one. The pain. Come on. I got this. This is one of those definite comfort games for me. You didn't like RE2 Remake as much as a lot of other people. It's been your favorite of the bunch so far. That's absolutely fair. I to be honest, I'm not exactly sure what I don't like about it as much as everyone else. Like that's actually something I've been wondering about. I've gone back to it and I'm still not finding myself like hugely engaged with it. In the same way that say Resident Evil 1 did. Um, but maybe that's just what I want to see out of my survival horror, you know? Lack of fixed camera angles is probably a part of it, yeah. Gold. That's alright. I think, yeah, fixed camera angles and maybe... I'm not such a fan of the way the atmosphere presents itself, though. Again, everyone else is like, wow, this is, yeah, fantastically scary. Even Mr. X, who everyone points to as being like, whoa, wasn't that guy scary? I don't know. He was like... He was fun. He was a fun component to the game, but I don't know. He didn't strike me as scary. I don't know if anyone else feels the same way. I wasn't as affected by the game, I suppose. And I'm still trying to unpick why, because like technically speaking, it's like a faultless survival horror experience. It just ticks all the boxes, but just maybe something like it just didn't engage with me on an imaginative level. I just wasn't captivated by it as everyone else has been. Like, cause the gameplay plays really well. But yeah, I don't know. No one else feels the same way, I presume. Everyone else is pretty happy with like the game. Sort of was immediately interesting. I don't know. Some part of me just never played. All right, yeah, that's all right. Like I can still recommend it. It's just not as good as the others, you know. Not doing too bad at this. Another platinum relic. I might go back and try... I'll see how I go through the first island. If I can get all platinums other than that one I just did, then maybe the other one. Boyfriend speedrun it though, so I've seen it all. Right, yep. Yeah, I'm still struggling to figure out why exactly it didn't grab me, because certainly like Resident Evil 7, like that didn't bother me that it didn't have fixed camera angles. I love it. Like Resident Evil 7 is probably my favorite Resident Evil. It's really schlocky and awesome. I love RE4, but for the most part, zombie games actually genuinely terrify me for some reason. So I don't play them like Fatal Frame, Silent Hill, and the like. That's really interesting. Is it any particular reason for that? Childhood kind of experience with a zombie film or something? I know that happens to be the case for me in a couple of horror themes. Not sure, because zombie movies don't scare me. Interesting. Frankaloons is what I loved about Mr. X is that outside of a few scripted moments, I knew he wouldn't appear when the game thought it would be dramatic or scary, but rather when he wanted to. Love. Systemic, yeah, systemic emergent horror. I'm a big advocate for that as well. I think, yeah, we both, or everyone here seems to really like that, which is a good thing because that's what games should try and do. But yeah, it's really weird. That he didn't... I guess, yeah, he didn't happen to frighten me as much as some of the Puppet Combo stuff I've played. Maybe that's because I played the Puppet Combo stuff and I was expecting something on that caliber, you know? I don't know. Maybe it was just my expectations were primed by other horror media and it didn't affect me as much as it affected other people. Because I play too much of this stuff. I don't know, but you also play a lot of this stuff, obviously, so wouldn't have been that. Dead Space, but not zombies. It is weird. Yeah, I was gonna suggest that maybe like there's some infection kind of element going on there for your Future Cityscape, but then again, you play and love Pathologic 2 and can't think of anything that's got more infectious symbology than that, so yeah, to be honest, most of the time my heart can't handle puppet combo games either. I love them, despite that. I'm kind of terrified in itself of playing what is it? Stay Out of the House. I'm gonna play that later in the year. And I'm terrified that it's gonna reveal me as just an incredible coward, because I know puppet combo is gonna scare the crap out of me so many times. And despite the fact that I've played I don't know how many horror games, yeah, it will terrify me. Spoke very briefly about Darkwood a while ago, and I think that's part of why I love it so much. Yeah, 90% of it is the system is very unscripted. Yeah, it's when horror gets a chance in video games to actually sort of have a simulational quality to it. That's what so many horror games miss. So many amateur sort of horror games miss, is that they're relying on the scripted stuff and not the system stuff, as you say. And the system stuff is what makes horror games unpredictable. And I was wondering if that was why watching horror games is much more enjoyable or much more accessible for a wider audience than playing horror games. Because when you're watching a horror game, everything, especially on YouTube, not on stream, is that everything can be sort of predicted, and there can be jump scare warnings in the audience, in the comments. I was wondering if that had something to do with it, whether there's actually, in some sense, there's too much, or systemic horror is too much for some people, as it rightly should be, because some of it is bloody horrible stuff. Yeah, I don't know, I'd be curious. Alright, another platinum. Not doing too bad indeed. But yeah, Darkwood, I remember like the feeling of hunkering down in a house at siege, and how you never knew how it was going to play out. I loved how dynamic that felt. It was just absolutely amazing. When I remember I set up this one house, and I sort of gave up room by room to the monsters as they continually tried to break in, and it was just me like crouching beside the bed in the lamplight. Absolutely bloody terrified, because I didn't know if I had enough stuff left to sort of outlast the monsters that were still out there. But fortunately, the night ended soon after that. Tried playing it, just couldn't take it. Heard someone move a cabinet and freaked out. Yeah, it's a freaky game because it does a lot with, like, freaky and depressing just because of the color palette that's presented. They do a really amazing job with that in particular. The monochrome blacks and whites, really effective. And what's really interesting is how horror games often rely on sound, even with low levels of graphical fidelity. It's very rare that you'll find a horror game that isn't trying to weaponize sound against you. Yeah, I find that all very interesting. I don't think I can sprint in this level. I think I'm doing the right thing here, riding this hog. Jump. Yay, another platinum. Breezing through. Funny how playing this is recharging my batteries at the end of a long day. It feels nice. It feels really nice. This was, the original version of Crash Bandicoot was the first video game I ever played. So I sort of, in fact, I think I had it in my hands. I had it in my hands before I could even understand what a controller was or what a screen was. Very personal game to me. Amazing it still has this resonant power. You're talking about this in relation to the first Amnesia, but I love the feeling of claiming territory. Which really is what Darkwood is about, absolutely. Wish RE2 had done it more, because being able to board up the windows and know that I made a certain area more safe was really cool. Yeah, that's a really great point. I think that's actually what we like to see out of a lot of horror games, and why also Pathologic is particularly effective, because it is actually about the seeding of space. you can't claim a district as sort of totally safe indefinitely. It's just not possible. And that really interests me. Is sort of the erasure or the erosion of specific sort of areas of trust, spaces of trust, and how developers can take those away from us and what psychological effect that actually has on the player. I mean, it's sort of hard to say where the distinction lies for a lot of people, but we're always often searching for a space that can be routinely considered safe. And that's why I don't actually know. I've got so many videos I'm working on, but there's a video I was working on at one point, and I think it's theoretically finished. I just wasn't happy with it and wanted to revisit it and re-edit the actual footage. But it was one on Silent Hill 3, and I talked about how Silent Hill 3's environments, even the safe rooms where you save, are presented as really like gross. You don't want to stay in a room, especially in that room in the hospital where there's that like hand clawing at the window. It's like clearly not a safe space representationally. Simulationally, yes, it's a safe space, but it sort of exudes a real feeling of wrongness. Gonna have to restart this level. I'll see what I do, how I do. Yeah, it's really interesting trying to claim a space as a player space. Lost my focus for a split second. Hang on, just grab a drink. I don't know. Does anyone feel the same way? You're right with the boarded windows thing. I think the developers were really onto something there. I did really like that because you could make the video game space your own, right? You could say, oh, this corridor is now less dangerous because there's no zombies there, obviously. Yeah, but of course you can't. As far as I know of, anyway, there was no way to stop Mr. X pursuing you, right? You just sort of had to run away, drop what you were doing, and leave, right? It's been a little while since I've seen him. Silent Hill 3 rooms in general were messed up. That bathroom mirror room is on the soundtrack. Yeah. It's some nasty presentation in Silent Hill 3. I do think it has some of the most primal and disturbing imagery I've ever encountered still in a video game. Really horrible. Horrible stuff. Damn it, Crash. And yeah, what I also liked about Silent Hill 3 was how perfectly balanced the difficulty is. Hard difficulty is actually hard. Unlike Silent Hill 2, where it's easy and fun, other than that fight at the end, that infamous fight at the end, which was profoundly cheap, but regardless. Absolutely agreed to keep rambling about RE2. No, by all means, keep rambling about RE2. I enjoyed having rushed to a hallway with 2 lickers because I don't want to deal with them. Then running from Mr. X 30 minutes later, I realized that I either have to run through him or the lickers. Yes, that's absolutely what's so crucial about the survival element of survival horror, because it affords you a choice in your actions. And for the vast majority of games that don't have sort of resource management, that are just sort of walking simulatory horror games, I don't know, they miss the point. They make the game less interesting, even if they are still scary at points. They make the game ultimately less about the player and more about what the developer thinks the scares should be. and how the player should approach the game, which is a huge shame. But of course, it's a hard balance to strike. I just yeah, I find it curious how many games refuse to give the player a chance to use weapons, you know, or to sort of have any choice about the order in which they deal with things. Because yeah, those moments of regret, right? You're like, damn, I wish I'd spent the time to clear out this hallway before. Like that's sort of the core element of much of survival horror, or much of the best survival horror, is finding those bits that work for you. Sorry, focusing hard on that bit. Finding the bits that work for you. And try going this way. This might be faster. Be faster if I didn't stuff up the jump. This is the first real difficulty spike in the game, by the way. Just in case anyone's wondering why I'm playing so. It's not so easy going anymore. Because it's actually meant to be harder. Just gotta keep moving there. What was I talking about? How... Yeah, like Resident Evil 7, that's kind of why I like it so much, because there's a segment at the start of the game, we don't have any weapons, and the game spends all this time sort of sinking its teeth into you and getting the atmosphere to work really, really well. And you sort of get assailed by things and you're not armed or anything. And you know, that's like scary stuff. But what's cool about it is that the moment when you get a weapon, the game recognizes in the main character's dialogue, he's like, all right, time for some payback. It's on, sort of thing. And then you get that sense that now is also time for you to engage in a different way with the game's material. Yes, I find that very interesting. I need to get better at doing that, but it's slowing me down a lot. And the important distinction about Resident Evil 7 as well is that it still limits ammo and that kind of thing. And it still means that, everything is sort of... Like, you can't just breeze through the game on your first try. It's still a survival experience at its core, which is what I really like, which is what is really important. Ugh. Ugh. No. Pavlogic has spoiled me with its multiple protagonists though. The RE2 remake let me down with that a bit. Mostly your first character just leaves notes for the second. Yeah. But in the original RE2, there are resources that if Leon takes, Claire won't have access to. Yes, that is super cool. I missed that. I wish more games would try and do that if they have multiple protagonists, that each playthrough affects the other in some way, or at least each protagonist is still active within the game world and is doing something like in Pathologic. I've said it so many times, but just that moment when I realized that, like, I think I ran into Artemi or Clara or someone as the Bachelor for that first time, and I was like, wait a minute. Weren't those the guys at the start who I could have chosen? How come they're in the game too, you know? It's like it's a really, really lovely subversion because no one ever tries that in video games. It's not a thing. And that's a big shame. Because it is so engaging. Aye. Come on. Getting sloppy. There we go. That's alright. I think I'm reaching the same point at the same time, roughly. So I'm not improving or anything, but I'm not getting worse, at least. Or maybe I am getting worse. Crap, I jinxed myself. Crap. Done. Okay. Another couple of guys at this one. I might have to come back to it. I want to be stuck here all day. If anyone has any suggestions for other games that do anything interesting with the whole multiple protagonist thing, I would be interested to know. Because yes, so often it's... I mean, it really boils down to, like, you know, an RPG character creator screen. It's like, what class do you want to play as? And I guess that's how I approached Pathologic that first time. I was like, what class do I want to play as? Do I want to play as, like, the doctor, or do I want to play as this kind of surgery man, you know? That's what I was thinking, I think, at the time. I was like, I guess this is the difference between these two. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I wish that was more consistent. I don't know what it is about it, but sometimes it just does not trigger. Loving Pathologic and Crash Bandicoot represents the duality of man. Yes, I'm making an artistic statement here by talking about Pathologic and Crash Bandicoot at the same time, and playing it at the same time. It's yes. I don't know. I think I wrote that in my little author bio at the bottom of every blog post. Is that I love, like, surreal, abstract, weird, psychological horror, and I also like colorful 3D platformers with fun characters. You know, go figure kind of thing. Colorful torture versus primarily brown torture. Yes, yeah. There's sometimes I branch out from my usual beige torture, and I decide to engage with fuzzy animals tormenting me. That's when people slowly back away. Okay, they say, yeah. You do you. Alright. So it's 102 consistently when I hit that ledge there. Huh. I think I could get that movement more fluid, more smooth. Not 3D, but as a colorful platform. I've been obsessed with Pizza Tower recently. Have either of you played it? I've not played it. I've heard, like, buzz and hype around it, but I know very, very little about it. If it's a platformer, though, I'd probably like it. So you recommend that? Can you describe exactly what it is? I've just, like, seen headlines. I've not bothered to engage with it in any way, which perhaps is to my own detriment, really. Final stretch. Come on. Because, I mean, yeah, primarily I'll just be streaming horror stuff, obviously, but occasionally I would like to branch out a bit more into this kind of thing. Just do, yeah, random wee colorful streams instead to sort of break up the monotony. Yeah, certainly. I was scouting around horror games in the most recent Steam sale, and I picked up like 3 or 4. I'm struggling to describe it. Well, that's all right. I appreciate the honesty. I'll go look it up. Later. But if it's good, if it's got the Frankaloons seal of approval, you know, I'll definitely give it a check. Thanks for the recommendation. But no, I was really struck looking through all the horror games on the Steam store. Just how flat it is. Heavily inspired by Wario Land 4, but I haven't played that, so I couldn't elaborate on that either. That's alright. I'm not sadly, I have very, very little experience with any Nintendo consoles. I've wanted to pick up a Switch or something for a while and play through the classics that they got on there. If that is indeed the best way to experience those classics now, I don't know. But yeah, it's... For a self-described, platformer fan, I've not played very much Mario at all, so... Mario or Wario. But from what I know about Wario Land, it's like sort of... Isn't WarioWare a term or something? Like, wherever there's like a set of like weird little mini-games? And that kind of thing? Or is that something different entirely from what you're talking about? Is it kind of like a set of otherwise disconnected gameplay approaches, elements? WarioWare is very different, and also nuts. Okay, yeah. See, I know very, very little about Nintendo stuff simply because I didn't grow up with any of it, which is probably unusual for a lot of video gamers, I suspect. Nintendo seems to be by and large the sort of the household touchstone, doesn't it? Wario Land is kind of Nintendo Sonic. Okay. Not the biggest fan. If Sonic was a fat and balding Italian man who doesn't really go that fast, I gotta say that is not the most inspiring description of a video game I've ever heard in the world, but I love it nonetheless. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't even know what games sort of constitute the most important ones in the Nintendo canon, you know. So I feel like I need to do some more research before I pick up a Nintendo console. Most Nintendo I've played is Fire Emblem, and like not. Yeah, I don't know actually whether that's. I thought it was just a Nintendo thing, but maybe not always. I don't know. I have even less clues. You can probably tell. Another gold, alright. We're actually aiming for golds. Maybe one day I'll go for platinums, but just get golds for now. Main concept of Pizza Tower, I guess, is that at the end of each level you got a timer as the level falls apart to escape back to the beginning as fast as you can. That sounds really cool, actually, really interesting. There's a game I should play on stream, actually, but at some stage. I could play that on Wednesday, maybe. Sort of deconstructs the platformer genre. Yeah, I might boot that up for my random game there. Away there, you go super fast and thoroughly, hunting for secrets and such. To get high scores, you need to be able to do both. That sounds up my alley. I recently got a game called Demon Turf, which is a really cool, colorful 3D platformer with a 2D sprite sort of thing going on. I was a big fan of that. So the main character is a 2D sprite, while the rest of the world is 3D. It's presented really gorgeously. It's got a really cool soundtrack, and it's also that kind of you have to go really fast, that kind of thing. At the end of your escape, you can do a second lap, which sends you back to the end without resetting the timer. It's intense. It sounds intense, but like a lot of fun. It sounds like right up my alley, actually. I will have to give that a go. One thing I do want to do, if I ever get a capture card, this channel might for a short amount of time, at least, become inexplicably a home for my attempts to sort of speedrun some older sort of platformers and that kind of thing. I'm not sure if I ever would do that, or when I'll ever get a capture card, but it's certainly something I'd like to do in the future anyway, just to sort of showcase those games, keep them alive in some way or another. Even if not speedrun them, then analyze them in their content, because there's a deep well of stuff to be analyzed in those games, which most people probably wouldn't suspect, but 10 or 11 hours to beat. 3 times that amount trying to get P ranks on the levels. P standing for pizza. Damn, I thought I was gonna... I literally just assumed you meant platinum, but no, P for pizza makes a lot more sense. You'd be very interested in me speedrunning or otherwise analyzing old 3D platformers? Because, like, I would love to make that a reality. And showcase both sides of my all the games that I like, and the 2 main camps that they happen to fall into for some reason. Extreme disturbing horror and dodging bats as you go through this old ruined temple, you know? Oh, come on. Out of the way, lizard. Yeah, well, I need to do some more research into capture card stuff, honestly. Because the last time I checked, yeah, they're like really expensive for a decent one that'd sort of connect to everything I wanted it to connect to. Which, you know, I can't exactly afford to just to splurge on that right now. Considering there are so many other things that need addressing, like groceries, for instance. This bit feels so slow. I find it really interesting, yeah, how painful it actually feels to slow down in Crash or while you're doing a speed run. Just a little mounting sense of anxiety that you get. Nice. I was too arrogant. I flew too close to the sun. I was hoping I could jump back in there. What else have I been playing in my spare time? I played at someone's recommendation. I played The Static Speaks My Name yesterday, which is a very strange little game. It's sort of what it tries to do is represent the representational ludic construction of depression. And it takes about 10 minutes, and it's sort of lightly disturbing. I say lightly, it is disturbing in terms of the themes that it presents, and it does take it relatively... Well, it takes it in an interesting tone. It's sort of, yeah, it discusses conspiracy theory and suicide and sort of what human beings do to keep themselves occupied when they're in that kind of mindset. I found it interesting, but it didn't expand as much as I wanted it to. It sort of felt like it was just starting to say something, and then it ended. But considering it's free on Steam, very small, it's like 57 megabytes or something. It was worth playing and experiencing. But absolutely, yeah, bizarre conceit for a game, and sort of an equally strange execution. Yeah, it's worth checking out. The Static Speaks My Name. It's hard to say whether it's like I don't think it's a you should play. It's more of a you can play it. It's a curiosity, especially worth checking out if you've ever had sort of depressive experiences, and you can sort of see how game developers can represent those kinds of things within a playable format, playable area. Yeah, very very curious, very curious. I think my favorite thing about it was probably the art style. Honestly, I really quite liked how the guy's house is set up. Another sort of, I guess, again, personal interest. Just, yeah, spatial stuff. Okay, so if we save this. Making good progress here. It's the, I think the penultimate level is the one I'm least looking forward to. That's a absolutely horrible one to try and get the relic on. It requires absolute perfection. Even to get a gold relic. It's horrible. Mainly because you might have noticed, but the way that Crash Bandicoot levels are set up is that they're basically all running on a sort of continuous timer, right? And thank you. I pride myself on my platformer abilities. They all sort of run on a timer, right? And you can see all the obstacles activate and deactivate over and over again. And if you happen to get stuck in the wrong set of timing, you can really screw yourself over, you know, when you're trying to get through. But, damn. Get up, Crash. I don't think I get caught in that. That's a pain. No. I stuffed that up. Has anyone else in the audience played Crash Bandicoot out of curiosity? Anyone else a fan? I'm just curious. Just interested if anyone's like comparing notes or something. Such a well-constructed game. I wonder, can I... No, I can't. No. Crash Bandicoot 2 like crazy as a kid. Awesome, I'm glad to hear that. Crash Bandicoot 2 is, yeah, it's such a great one as well. I think what I really like about the first one, though, is it kind of feels like it feels, again, like a continuous, to use that word again, contiguous sort of narrative. You're following along these levels, and it sort of feels like everything advances really naturally. I only remember playing Crash Bandicoot was on an arcade cabinet in a weird dark room as a kid. They had Crash Bandicoot on an arcade cabinet? Interesting. No idea where I was. This sounds slightly troubling, but... living his best life. He was out there having a good time. No one can take that away from him. He didn't know where he was or what he was doing. But he was there. Love to see it. Come on. Damn it. It's that jump always that gets me. Probably one of the worst bits of timing that you have to synchronize yourself with. It wasn't an arcade cabinet, and I remember even less about that than I think I do. I love memories like that, where you think you remember something, and then someone is like, "Oh, I don't think so," and then all of a sudden you're like, "Wait, maybe you're right. Maybe I wasn't doing that at all. Maybe that." And then you start to question, yeah, where exactly you got this memory from. It's like the question of like memories that we get from photographs or that other people have described to us. It's really weird. It's like a dizzying sort of thing to consider, right? I'm not an expert in the field, so I wouldn't even dare try and explain how that happens. But it is really interesting how we sort of self-identify with stories that are told to us about ourselves. We're like, yeah, I did that. I promise it isn't half as concerning as it sounds. Okay, I'm glad to hear that. Actually playing Spyro. Look, if... I got past the bit that killed me and then I die in a stupid fashion. If there was a Spyro arcade cabinet, I would also like to know. My goodness. This level, I wasn't expecting this level to kick my butt. What a rubbish start, come on. Realizing I'm a replicant memories are implanted, yeah. That feeling when you realize Harrison Ford is after you to track you down. Still love that movie. All-time favorite of mine, the Blade Runners. Yeah, it was admittedly Tears in the Rain. It's not the discussion I expected to be having while playing Crash Bandicoot, but I couldn't think of a better discussion to be having, to be honest. Tangents, that's what we're all here for. God, I stuffed it up again. I was really impressed with the sequel too. 2049. I saw that in the cinema. That was revelatory in the cinema. I remember the sound, the sort of the Gregorian choir sort of thing that plays, or that really low like eldritch choir, or whatever you call it. I remember that shook my cinema. That shook the cinema around me. I remember feeling my rib cage and my teeth like rattle around that film. And boy, it was an amazing film, and it had a really well put together message, and it was shot gorgeously. Every shot was just itself just sort of popped off the screen. It was infectious. It was an amazing film. Should watch it again now. Talking myself into watching it again. There are some films that you wish would just stay in the cinema somehow, so that you could just keep rewatch them in the cinema whenever you felt like it. You know, that's one of them. It's definitely one of them. Oh my goodness. Shockingly like the sequel. Saw it opening night, and I'm a big cinema person. Yeah, it's he did a really amazing job. I like Dune too, although I didn't like it quite as much as Blade Runner, but he still did a good job with that. I was impressed with how good that film looked too, actually. But yeah, the story of 2049 appealed to me more, I think. Even if just that it was, theoretically standalone, you know, whereas Dune is obviously set up to be the next big space opera thing and is based off a pre-existing franchise and all that kind of thing. I mean, so is 2049, I suppose, but somehow it felt more independent. I don't know how to describe that feeling either. Okay, I'm gonna wait, because I got such bad luck with this. Alright. HGA learns to be patient. Except not really. Love these ones. Immediately jumps into fire. Yeah, I'm not very good at this whole patient platforming business when there's a big timer down the bottom of the screen urging me on. Have you seen any of his other movies? So Enemy last week, and I can't stop thinking about it. I haven't seen Enemy, but I've watched Arrival was one of his, wasn't it? I loved Arrival. I thought that was a great film, very emotionally effective. Finally. Yes, and I got the best time too. Okay, so stopping at that bit was okay. Yeah, I thought Arrival was hugely clever, and just sit down and because my partner's not seen that one, so I was going to sit down and watch that again for that reason. We're going to save again. What was that? Lift. There we go. One of Enemy is one of two 2013 films directed by Denis Villeneuve, starring Jake Gyllenhaal. Interesting. Okay. If I had $1 for every time, yeah. What's that one about? Arrival is like is basically a linguistic approach to alien first contact. So you've got a pair of linguists who are trying to decode the aliens' language, but Earth is sort of, as humans want to do, incredibly xenophobic, and the time is sort of racing to decode what the aliens are trying to say before the humans declare war on the aliens that have landed. It's actually a really moving film. Very human film, very human message. I can highly recommend that one as well, at least from what I remember about it. Might have to check it out. Yeah, man, we've branched off into lots of things today: films, games. Yeah, it's going all over the place. I love it. Somehow somehow Crash Bandicoot is more conducive to discussion um, than Amnesia Rebirth for me. I find it easier to talk while I'm playing Crash Bandicoot, probably because already know what's going on, and I'm just focusing on pressing X and moving the stick. Oh, I'm not a film person either. I got to admit, like the films that I watch, they're really few and far between. Like I make time in my day to play games and read books. Films, it's very rare that I will make time to see a film. It's generally for me, it's a social activity watching a film. I wouldn't sit down and watch a film by myself, if that makes sense. Whereas some people are quite happy to sit down and watch a film by themselves. Whereas, yeah, that idea just doesn't appeal to me. I see books and games as in some small way betrayed by the both of you. Oh no, are you the opposite? Are you? I'm not. Yeah, I'm like I watch and enjoy films. I just happen to not make very much time for them. Just happens to be the state of affairs. Oh yeah, there we go. Bring that back. That's cold. That's cold. His past races back to haunt him. Okay, these levels shouldn't be too bad to speedrun, because there's no sprint in them, and theoretically I just have to avoid getting knocked into any fences or anything, and making sure I hit all the crates, but it should be relatively easier than the Temple in the Darkness one. Watched 43 movies this year. Impressive. Well, and you got through all those games. You got through all those Resident Evil games too, so like, you're on fire. 43 movies in your life. Okay, I've at least seen more than 43 films. On fire and unemployed. Yeah, no, I feel you. It's funny how that works. But mostly on fire. Yeah, like an amazing level of consumption there that you've managed to watch and play all this stuff, as well as reading Alan Moore's big books as well, if I remember correctly. His big novels, treatises on the human condition and whatnot. Yeah, remarkable. I think I've managed to put down like 50 something, 60 something books, full books, and then I've read a lot of academic articles on top of that. So I'm a reader. I'm not a reader and a player. I don't have time to watch films or television shows. I don't even know what was the last TV show I watched. I don't even know. I've just read through the first book of Gene Wolfe's Book of the New Sun. Oh, I don't actually think I've heard of that one. Recommended? Just don't like so many genres of films. Like, I only like some horror movies and otherwise really bizarre movies like Blade Runner and Farewell My Concubine. Well, if you know what you like, you know, and you don't have time to spend elsewhere, then sort of why try and tackle anything else if you know that those are the genres that you're comfortable watching? No sense, you know. We only have a certain amount of time on this earth, let alone any time to sort of sit down and consume art. So you might as well consume the art that you know you're already predisposed to having some investment in, right? Having some enjoyment in, and it's good to branch out, obviously, but sometimes you just can't. It just doesn't come to you. You just don't feel in the mood for it. Wholeheartedly recommend it if I didn't know you already had enough on your plate. Oh no, I got a long list. What's one more book? The best book you've ever read. Well, that's high recommendation there. Gene Wolfe's Book of the New Sun. Okay. Something to keep my eyes peeled for. If I ever get a chance. Another hog level. Just gotta remember which way the shield guys are going. Oh. And whether you have to jump or go under those roasted hogs there. Under again. Left, jump. Not too shabby, not too shabby. I don't know how I survived that. Right. Jump. Right. Left. Right. Left. Right. Under. Right. Whew. Not bad. That felt smooth. There we go. Platinum relic again. Start rambling about it, but I never stop, so I'll leave it at that. Well, if I read it, I'll let you know. So, and I'll give you an invitation to proselytize about it. It is indeed the best compliment. I agree. That's about the highest regard you can give to a work of art. Is that you just can't stop talking or thinking about it. It obviously means it's done its job. It's struck its chord. Okay. The longest level in the game, Sunset Vista, so this might be painful. We'll see. It's got a fairly lenient time, but it might drive me to madness. We shall see. Unless, of course, I'm already crazy. In which case, I got nothing to fear. Sneakily hidden wee thing in there. Aye. So it begins. The apocalypse now of Crash Bandicoot. It really is, honestly. It's a behemoth of a thing. It'd help if I... Look, let me just wait for this to cycle through. That feels... It's the cruelest part, honestly. At least that first flame that sparks up, that doesn't actually do any damage to you. I'm grateful about that. Smooth, smooth. Oh. Oy. That was one of my very rare lapses into what I call Crash Bandicoot panic jumping, which is what I see new players of Crash Bandicoot do every time, which is they think they're not going to make a jump, so they try and readjust after they've landed by hitting the jump button again and moving the stick, which quite often happens to kill someone when they're playing through. But that's... I've seen countless people do that that I've introduced to the game. It just seems to be a thing, a psychological thing. You feel attacked by this analysis. It happens. It happens all the time in these games in Crash Bandicoot. And I'm not immune to it. Like even after the ungodly amount of hours I've played of these, probably. I still sometimes do it because I'm like, oh. I didn't make it. Oh no, I didn't make it. Oh, I'm dead. I'm an idiot. It happens. So you feel like you're going painfully slow here, right? Get rid of them, they're annoying. Hey. Patience, man. Patience, what are you doing? Come on. Okay. Damn, can't jump back through there, that's alright. Jump on that one's head. Now go. That was worth it, surely. That was so worth it. Yes, come on, come on, come on. Whew. Dodgy stuff. Dodgy stuff. Okay, how does this one work? I'm just gonna stop for a second. Go, go, go. So yeah, those ones I think it's safer to stop than just rush headlong and lose 2 minutes of almost 3 minutes of progress through this level. You see how long it is that even going as fast as I can, I'm still not close to the end yet. I think I'm about 2/3 of the way through. Roughly speaking. Huh. I would like to try and break out the emulator and at some point and see if I can play the original one on stream too. Whether that would be interesting. Like, I'm wondering maybe I just do emulators for the PS2 stuff, but then like it doesn't feel as authentic, you know. I don't know. I was closer to the end than I thought. I built that up in my head more. Yay! Another platinum relic. Not bad at all. Okay. So that's 2 out of 3 islands finished. Here's where we get onto the more painful stuff. Although, come to think of it, I don't think I have... Yeah, I haven't unlocked all the levels yet. So I might go back and... I could go back and do some gems, I suppose. Don't have all the gems in this level. I'll have a wee look. We'll see if I can get the gems. See how we go. Hope everyone's enjoying the Crash Bandicoot, by the way. Slight change from routine, I know, but... absolutely flattened after today, so this has been nice. Sweet. So yeah, we're just going to try and collect all the boxes in this level, because I didn't get the gem the first time around. Probably because I didn't get all of those tokens of Embryo, who's that character there on the bottom left of the screen. And you notice we're sitting at 98 lives, so we're not doing too bad for that. And what I always appreciated about Crash Bandicoot is when you die in the time trial, you don't lose a life. Nice to also know that you don't have to play something miserable and scary to have a nice stream. Yeah, agreed. I don't want to, despite the channel name that I chose for myself, I never wanted to constrain myself to just playing sad and miserable stuff, even if that does happen to be what I play a lot of, with all the horror stuff. I certainly... yeah, it's funny, I don't know. Funny trying to define exactly what my channel should constitute. I was trying to decide that for a while, and then I realized it doesn't really even matter what name I gave myself at this point. I'm more than happy to just play the games that I want to play, you know. But it's nice to know that other people out there are also enjoying them. That's also what I like to hear. Pathologic is very uplifting and fun, if you say so. It's uplifting and fun after you finish the game for the first time, because then it becomes a comfort game. But otherwise, yeah. I remember those that first playthrough. I remember walking away from the game feeling depressed a couple of times. It's a shock to the system, right? I think everyone points that out though in their first playthrough. It's like, this is absolutely miserable. And it's only when you actually start to understand the simulation when you can sort of start to fight back and make your life less miserable. Okay. I'm worried I'm missing something. This token is probably really well hidden. I do also have the Spyro remastered thing as well, so I could play that at some stage. When I get into the parties fighting for power in the midst of the plague and feeling depressed. Because I was like, this is how people would actually act, and yeah, it's really sad, isn't it? And a lot of people, point to Pathologic as being like really radical in foretelling that, but I think they were looking at historical examples as well. Like they didn't pull that out of nowhere, you know. Damn, I missed one. Okay. I'll finish the rest of the level anyway. Yeah, it's like all that Pathologic was doing was pulling from those historical contexts and from texts like you know, the plague and Journal of a Plague Year and all those kinds of things, and examining human nature through a slightly different way than those texts would, though, because they allowed the player to sort of make a definitive statement on it too, to sort of contribute their own thoughts and feelings beyond just reading Camus' Plague, which is an excellent book, and you should read it. Spyro Remaster is epic, so recommended to play that as well at some stage. Yeah, I'll just if I'm feeling tired, this Crash and Spyro. I'll probably just hop on those and jam them for a while. Honestly, some days. Cortex Power. What was that one? I think that's the TV one. With all the Cortex faces. This one, I remember, yeah, Cortex Power was one of the... Oh, no, what? No, it's not Cortex Power. It's Generator Room. It must be the level after this, but... I remember, yeah, one of these levels in Crash, I remember that was one of the most frightening first experiences of a sort of a frightening video game environment that I'd ever experienced. You sort of had this really grainy evil scientist face sort of looming at you on these 1984-esque kind of monitors. Yeah, I have vivid memories of that. When I was younger, being like, oh, don't like this. And I often wonder, yeah, what got me interested in horror in the first place? Like, I often try and trace that back, and sometimes it's feels impossible to trace, you know. When we get back to that, the question of why do you like the things that you like? Is it because you chose to like those things, or is it because you were influenced by some other aspect or someone else in your life? Yeah, it's hard to determine. Actually, Future Cityscape. I remember playing this level the first time on stream, and I think I played it several times through trying to get all the boxes, and I couldn't because I couldn't figure out what box I'd missed because you have to backtrack in this level, and I kept dying, and I think I was starting to get a wee bit frustrated. I remember that now. Okay. Yeah, well, let's try it again. We'll go for the boxes. We'll see how terribly it goes this time. The first real fright in the game was stealing Squidward's toothpaste in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie video game. Question: Is that the PC one, which is like a point-and-click adventure one, or is that the PS2 one, which is like a 3D platformer one? Because I think I grew up with the... I think I was given the point-and-click adventure one at some stage. And I do remember stealing Squidward's toothpaste, though I don't remember it being frightening. Yeah, it was a surprisingly well put together game actually for a movie tie-in, for a SpongeBob movie tie-in. My first was the Jurassic Park opening start menu on Sega Genesis. 3-year-old me would hide the cartridge behind the TV. I love what I love what we do as kids to sort of like disarm the fear. You know, like sort of turn the media off or hide it in some way. Um, yeah, it's really curious. I remember there's a game I hope to play on stream, and I remember I didn't need to do that. I remember viscerally being like, no, turn the music off. Turn the music off. I can't deal with this. Can't deal with the music. It's just too creepy or something. And in retrospect, it's like it's not creepy. It's really calming. But I just remember I was like, nope, nope. Can't deal with it. Can't deal with it. It's not frightening at all, but it scared me so much I had to get my dad to play it for me. Good was sleeping in the other room. That's sweet though. That's sweet. I remember I got my mum to play through. My mum and my dad, but it happened to be that my mum was most commonly on hand, and I'd get my mum to be like, "Mum, play through this bit for me, would you? Because I can't I can't handle it." Yeah. I think yes, stealth sections. Yeah, you bring up a really good point about the stealth sections. It's a really, it brings up that primal fear of like being pursued and being spotted, which is really quite profound when you're a kid. Really quite confronting, which is why games like Haunting Ground, for instance, are so successful because they replicate feelings that I think every child has and sort of calls upon those ideas. Yeah. Shout out to the underwater section of Final Fantasy VII. Still, I'm terrified of that crap. Yeah. Does this way have any boxes? That's the question. Underwater and stealth sections, eh? Something about being pitted against yeah, these sort of larger than life foreboding elements when you're just a kid. Yeah, it's too much to handle, right? But really fun to reflect on because you're like, why the hell was I even scared of that? My mom always pulled the Jurassic Park cartridge out and yelled at me. Then I put it back thinking she wouldn't figure it out. Yeah, that's really lovely, honestly. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I love that. I'm trying to think, yeah. There was some piece of media when I was a child. I remember there's some piece of media. The thing that really frightened me for the longest time were dolls, and I remember, well, the idea of like dolls or action figures sort of coming to life. And there was one action figure that my dad had, and I think it was a Thor action figure. And I don't know why, but I could have sworn that this thing, it was like he tapped into the uncanny valley somehow, I guess. But I could have sworn that he was going to come to life. And I remember at one point my dad, bless his soul, so lovely. I don't know if he had any sentimental attachment to it. I feel really bad, but he saw that I was quite scared of it and just threw it out. So I if he ever listens to this, yeah, I hope you weren't attached to that, Dad. Yeah, I'm sorry. But no, it's yeah, it's really funny what we assign as frightening and how we codify it. And yeah, where do we even get these ideas from? You know, it's really weird. Yeah, my parents are both so lovely. Yeah, I'm very lucky to have them. I hope one day I can be as good a dad and good a parent as they've both been to me. Yeah. And I got them both to thank for my introduction to this game, which is maybe causing me to pull my hair out, but I love it all the same. And the question is where I go from here. Yeah, there's no way of knowing where the boxes are. Okay, no. Okay, so if you go back this way, alright, we're doing okay. So we go back this way. What's this way? I'm slowly forming that mental map in my mind. Slowly being the operative word. Okay, no. So we got all the boxes back here, surely. Now we can go forwards like this. Yeah, how many of these weird fears we carry into adulthood in one form or another? I think we carry them forward in so many different ways, and so like unconsciously as well. Like I was having this discussion with someone, and we were talking about how we just all have these really like these deep-rooted beliefs, and on some level we know that they're ridiculous. Like, but on another level, like we believe them all the same. You know. I think the example that was cited in the discussion that I was having was just this person's friend, for whatever reason, just did not want to eat beef, and they were happy to eat other forms of red meat, but beef was a no-go, and they just saw that as unclean, no matter how it was prepared. And it is really interesting. Like, yeah, how do we get fears? How do we get these beliefs? Am I just supposed to jump all the way across this? Not doing very well here. I say on 97 lives. And there wasn't any more back here, was there? I think it was just those two I had to go back for. You guys having a beef talk? Hello. Good to see you. Yes, we are having a beef talk. Just a random talk about sort of childhood beliefs and fears, and what we carry forwards with us. Hour 2 of beef discussion, as overlaid on top of Crash Bandicoot. Truly the most academic video game. My goodness. Okay, go back. Break these two. So if you die 5 times in a row, the game is nice enough to give you another 1-up Aku Aku mask to stave off death. Because it's taking pity on you. Which I always liked. It's because I got killed by those stupid pipes so many times. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. Oh, come on. I don't like that. There we go. Alright. Hooray. Finally got all the boxes. Which I somehow didn't manage last time. Yay. Sweet victory. Like a year later or something. I can't remember when I streamed this last. Ba-da-ba. Always love that too. It's a little triumphant. Yeah, his own version of Sweet Victory. Okay, so I need to go back to that one and get the token. I do need to speed run these ones. Okay. Progress comes in many forms and in different ways, indeed. That is wisdom. Just gotta take it slow. Whatever progress you make in your personal life, good progress. However slowly it comes. This level is nowhere near as creepy as it was when I was a kid. But, I am a big Bowie guy indeed. Yep. Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. I've not seen the film in its entirety, but I've watched I've watched sort of the bigger scenes from it. He's a very very talented actor. He was a very very talented man in so many respects. He was wonderful artist. If you have you ever seen Bowie sort of in any of the clips of Bowie that survive of him doing the Elephant Man stage play? It really shows how remarkable he was that he was able to play such a character, and then also go on to play, for instance, like Jareth or whatever from the Labyrinth. That he had this really profound range, but he sort of, I think he gave up acting because he sort of felt that he'd achieved what he wanted to with it, or that it was leading him to a sort of creative dead end. Is the whole film good of Mr. Lawrence? Because it's certainly something I've meant to watch in full, but I've really only just sort of perused randomly. Really worth a full watch. Loved it. Awesome. Yeah, I will have to check it out then. No, he's a remarkable man. Really wonderful artist. Oh, that was slow. There's got to be a way I can improve that then. It's the first one in a while I've been slow at. I think I need to do some more daring things with this one. What was I going to say? Uncanny because all the English school kids in the flashback to Bowie's childhood sound very Kiwi. Very Kiwi in a bad Kiwi kind of way, because when you're shooting a movie in the Pacific, it's much cheaper to shoot your English scenes in New Zealand. Yes, I can imagine. Yeah, I was watching. What did I rewatch? I rewatched the film adaptation of Ender's Game at some stage, and I was struck by, I think it's Ben Kingsley. He plays a Maori character, and I thought, oh well, good to have some sort of cultural representation there. But his accent, shocking accent. It's one of those things, I guess. Every nationality, every culture gets it. But it's always funny to sort of look at how other societies and so on sort of see you. Can I jump this way? No, there's an invisible wall. That's not fair. Had really been hoping. But then I guess on the other hand, you've got a lot of, especially with Maori culture, which I am by no means an authority on. Speaking as Pākehā, there's so much misrepresentation that goes on, and so much pop culture. I mean, I think the most recent one I can think of was Cyberpunk doing that kind of thing. Cyberpunk 2077 sort of had Maori facial tattoos in there. Yeah, I don't know. Thorny territory, I think. I'm sure someone made the argument that it's there because it looks cool. I think is primarily how I saw it fitting in, which is a shame. Cyberpunk 2077 is an interesting game, to say the least. I don't know. Maybe other people like it. I don't know what to think of it sometimes. Even more disappointing than the Callisto Protocol. Yeah. I think, I think the worst thing that it does, it sort of almost feels like it misappropriates the themes of cyberpunk. It's really hard to describe and articulate because I've not spent much time analyzing the game or sort of deep diving into it, but I felt it was a misrepresentation of the actual themes of cyberpunk. I don't know, maybe it was just me, but yeah, the city itself, like driving around, that's lots of fun, eh? Like it's an immersive landscape that it gives you, but the story and its themes, and I guess yeah, even the way that the story plays out, I wasn't I wasn't a huge fan of it. It felt very much like a game that latched onto cyberpunk as an aesthetic goal to aim for, and then sort of struggled hard to provide the same critique that of society and sort of other technological advances that we sort of expect from intelligent cyberpunk media. It just took the aesthetic, and that felt like it was it was edgy for the sake of being edgy, which is one of my least favorite things, as I'm sure you've gathered. Sat at the street vendor drinking a beer like 30 minutes in, car crashed into us, we kept trying to drive while the conversation slash cutscene was playing out. I just couldn't. Yeah, no, the first time I played it, I didn't pre-order it, but a friend did. And my friend, they were very excited. And I went round to play it with them when it came out, and we sort of played through the opening bit together. And it was just shocking how poorly it ran, and how they thought they could, like how terrible it was that the developers were sort of treated so terribly and forced to release such a broken product, which they then got harassed horribly for. But even putting aside, yeah, like all the technical difficulties, I don't know. It just wasn't a satisfying game, despite all the best efforts and all the attempts to rehabilitate its image. Yeah, I don't know. It's a funny one. It's a really funny one, Cyberpunk. Especially because yeah, everyone was sort of like Witcher 3 was amazing. Surely they'll make another great one here, you know. But Witcher 3, you know, that was a point of difference from their previous two games, you know. Witcher 1 is a weird game. I don't know if anyone's played that one. I played it through twice. It's a bloody weird game. Even putting aside the really fucking uncomfortable gender and sexual politics in that game, where you collect the woman you've slept with, like Pokemon trading cards, which I found deeply disturbing. But I couldn't help but laugh out loud when the game sort of po-facedly tried to present me with one of these. It was horrible. But the game is just also like, it's a point-and-click adventure, or point-and-click RPG kind of thing with like isometric perspective. But most of the voice acting is terrible. The quests don't really go anywhere. Yeah, it's another game where I love the ideas and I love the space. But yeah, I like that description, Frankaloons. It's super awesome and also kind of the worst game ever made. It's a real weird one. And despite me really enjoying Witcher 1, despite all of those horrible problems that it has, and Witcher 3, I've bounced off of Witcher 2 so many times. It might have been 2, but it probably could have been either of them, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know, something about Witcher 2. I just couldn't get into it. It felt strangely linear and also edgy for the sake of being edgy. I remember it also had some more uncomfortable gender and sort of sexual connotations. I think there's that bit you learn that there's this main villain, and you learn that he's, you know, pretty pretty evil or whatnot. But then just because the developers throw in an offhanded scene that reveals that he's gay, and then you sort of see him get, I think immediately after he gets revealed as gay, he gets sort of beaten up and ruthlessly badly treated. And it felt like the lowest blow. It felt really ugly. I couldn't stand to play it, and yeah, Death Mold, that was his name. Yeah, I was like I've not revisited Witcher 1 since I sort of played it. I played it through twice, just because I didn't want to go through the whole awkwardness of how terribly it treats women again. But yeah, the Death Mold thing, yeah, that also really stuck out to me. Stuck out? What the hell am I talking about? Stuck out to me. Yeah, that's a yikes indeed. Really rancid representation. I was not a happy camper. Suffice it to say. Which is, but that's why we need critical analysis of video games, because there's no sort of interpretation of what we're seeing on screen, and no understanding of why things are represented or simulated in the way that they are. Yeah, it's a shame that so many people are so happy to look uncritically at video games when stuff like that happens to exist within them. Yeah. How did I get here anyway? I'm playing Crash Bandicoot. How did we get to talking about that? Cyberpunk. Right, we're talking about Cyberpunk. Yeah. Driving really was the only good part of that game. At least in terms of gender and sexuality, Cyberpunk felt more inclusive. Ugh. But, at least they're trying to improve, I suppose. Damn. Aye. Almost think they have to, given that cyberpunk futuristic literature references tend to be much more open about sexuality. Yeah, that's true too. I'm actually trying to think now about representation in The Witcher 3. I feel like by and large that was more positive. It certainly, I don't remember it having a moment like Death Mold or like the trading cards, but yeah, I don't know. It's a funny thing. Okay, everyone who plays Crash Bandicoot is like, yeah, you should use the ropes. They make the level way easier. But I don't know. I'm not convinced. Aye. Come on. We gotta make a death compilation out of this. Oh, that was close. I think, yeah, as video games happen to get more and more diverse and accessible, I think that can only be a good thing. We're gonna get, yeah, more interesting stories and more interesting mechanics and new ways of seeing and interpreting the world that we wouldn't get otherwise. The sharing of people's voices, I think really important to see people's voices in art. And quite often, and especially in big budget video games, people's voices just, yeah, we don't see them on offer because they're just giant, or small names in a giant list of credits, rather, you know. The corporations try and obfuscate, in fact, the nature of that this video game that you're playing was made by really talented human beings, each with their own individual thoughts and feelings. It's just in a team that size, how do you sort of exercise any kind of personal voice? You know, it's really hard. Oh crap! Oh, I thought I stuffed that one up too. Heart was in my throat. Come on. If I get a sapphire at the end of this. Come on. Gold. Okay. That was tense. Twitchy controller. Slippery climb. Do I feel like doing slippery climb today? Speedrunning slippery climb? Let's see. Hydrate? Alright, you got it. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, I think I needed that. 3 minutes. Easy peasy. This is probably the most famous level from the original Crash Bandicoot in some sense, because it has such a reputation for being difficult. So an entirely side-scrolling level. You can tell that it's already not being kind to me with the cycles and the way it starts up. That was sad. I jumped and I was like, why did I jump? I was thinking to myself, why did I jump? What am I doing? When Crash becomes Ninja Gaiden, yeah. I got the first, I bought the first Ninja Gaiden a little while ago. Or Ninja Gaiden Sigma or whatever it is, the re-release, the HD one. I've yet to try it, but I'm kind of afraid of it, to be honest. I fear that it could either be one of those games I'm like, damn, why the hell did I buy this? This is way too hard, or it will consume my life as I inevitably try and master it. Yeah, worried about that. I'm enjoying it though. I've recently tried to get out of the routine of just hopping online and reading the news or whatever. It's nice. It's been nice to sort of disconnect from that and instead, reconnect with games and books and actually engage with some art rather than what is essentially sort of just meaningless, anxiety-inducing material. It's been a nice change. And it has allowed me, to spend time on things like the Static Speaks My Name, and just try out, interesting little things. It is a hard routine to break. I still find myself doing it, especially just hopping on my phone, like at night. I think we all do it, but I am making a more concerted effort to ban the phone. 10 pages per day of a book, nothing big, but better than nothing, and better than doom scrolling. Absolutely, yeah. Social media, I think, yeah, social media can be a lot of fun, but not for an excess of time, you know. And especially, yeah, certain spaces, there's no need to exist in them for any longer than is absolutely necessary. Online. Yeah, I think I talked about having the same problem. Frankaloons are playing the old stuff over and over again. I can't remember when I talked about that, but yeah, it's really nice. It was that blog post, wasn't it, that where I talked about my backlog and how it was kind of a gamble. You know, every time you start a new game, and sometimes my brain didn't want to take that risk, but in actuality, it's the taking of the risk is actually more rewarding than playing through Oblivion again for the 50 billionth time or whatever, you know. And I say this as I play Crash Bandicoot again, but sometimes you do need to just unwind with something, you know. But it is, in general, much more rewarding to. Like, it doesn't have to be outside of a genre that you don't like or anything, as I was saying before regarding films. Platinum, that was easy. I made that look easy, huh? Stay humble. Yeah, like, there's something to be said for just trying new works of art in a genre you already enjoy. Feels like work in a weird way. What it took for me was to force myself to boot up a game or read or whatever, even if I didn't want to. That's also what it takes for me. So you're not alone there. It is really hard sometimes to just sort of find like the energy to sort of engage with the new work and sort of be like, oh, so I've got to reframe my whole mind and listen carefully to what's going on because I don't know anything about this. Whereas with the other ones, you can almost you can turn your brain off a wee bit, which is why I can commentate so easily while I play Crash, for instance, because I already know what's going to happen. So there's sort of no worries there in that regard. Which is in part why I'm finding streaming Amnesia Rebirth and providing interesting commentary a unique challenge for two reasons. Partly because Amnesia Rebirth actually has a lot of voice acting, and I sort of have to stop my train of thought and let them speak, which is kind of weird when I was so used to just doing Pathologic and being able to talk basically uninterrupted the whole time. But yeah, no risk or reward, no fear of disappointment. Exactly, but the risk or reward, I think, is what makes it worth it. Because even though sometimes you'll inevitably come up and you'll be like, why did I waste my time with that? But more often than not, you'll probably find something to add to your list of artworks that you actually really love. But it really is taking that first step, right? I'll get to your slightly longer comment in a second, Frankaloons. I'm just in a state of hyper-focus. There you go. Book of the New Sun, for example, I started reading because I couldn't sleep. So pleased after a few nights of that when I realized I actually wanted to keep reading in the morning even when there are other things I could be doing. Yeah, that's a lovely feeling, isn't it? When you get caught up in something like that, something new that you've tried. Sometimes it doesn't always happen, you know. Like some books you enjoy, but they don't grab you. But other books, those are the best kinds of books, the ones that really do grab you, and stay interesting throughout the whole thing. Yeah. Okay. Right, here's where we missed the key. So we're going to comb through this level a bit. Okay, hang on. Okay, I'm gonna quietly follow a guide because I remember the first time I did this as well. I missed those tokens. Although what I should be doing is getting all the crates too. I need to be... Can't rush through it. It is, yeah. I am trying to remember what... Like, I remember... Yeah, I think... What have I played recently that really seized my imagination? There was something I was really enjoying. That kind of eluded me. What was I playing? Oh, I can't remember now. There was something I played at the start of this year that I really enjoyed. But no, I can't actually remember the name of it. It's frustrating. Next time, it'll come to me as soon as I finish the stream. Going back to old stuff again earlier this year, so I forced myself to flip the script and read a new genre. Loving it. It was hard to go through with it. You know, you just sort of have to, yeah, like, seize the initiative almost from your brain, right? Okay, yeah, right. So I got the first token, that's alright. You sort of have to, yeah, what was I saying? You sort of have to, sorry about that. You sort of have to trick yourself into doing it, right? Which is really interesting. You just tell your brain like, oh yeah, we're just gonna do it. It's just happening. This is happening now. And there's nothing you can do to stop it, sort of thing. We are very strange creatures indeed. Love thinking of Georgie's line from Pathologic 2 in those instances where he says, you have to commit to something before burning out. Yeah. Don't give yourself time to argue yourself out of it. Yeah. I think also, yeah, you should certainly recognize generally when you're in the mood. Like, if you're really not in the mood, like, don't force yourself, because you probably just hate the artwork at the end of it, or the text in question. But if you feel even an inkling, even a chance that you can try something new, you gotta seize that opportunity, you know? It's really, yeah, really precious thing. Just that willingness to engage with new material. And I think it's even harder because so many modern video games, not that I play any of those kinds of games, but all those kinds of, you know, games as a service kinds of things. It's all, yeah, all very, very, very difficult. Does the spider come back, or have I just screwed myself? Did I just screw myself over? Do I have to do the blue gem path again? Can I do the blue gem path again? No. What? Surely someone would have thought about this. Not me, obviously. But yeah, with the games as a service thing, it's like they... Okay, if you got friends to play them with, so it can be a social thing. Yeah, I think you're right, but I think that also that those games are can be designed in an insidious way, you know, which I think can sort of trick people into spending more time on it than they like. Hunt Showdown. What one's that one? Is that like an arena? Is that an arena shooter one, like a first-person one? I feel like I've heard of it. You can tell I'm clued up on all the latest multiplayer video games. I'm an absolute authority. I don't know, yeah, the last... Like, I haven't got big into a multiplayer game I don't know. Probably over a decade, to be honest. About as well as it did for Pizza Tower. You got there in the end. I understand roughly what Pizza Tower's about. You got me interested. But I mean, for this one, we're starting from the premise that it's a multiplayer-y kind of games as a service-y kind of one. Team versus enemy game, is that another one? There's so many of them out there, I think that's part of my problem. I just get them all confused in my head. Ah, okay. So it was the one I was thinking of. Yeah, the Wild West kind of one. PvPvE. 12-person battle royale. I like the sound of the setting. The setting sounds like a nice way for the game to sort of stand out. Not last man standing. You're competing to kill big boss monsters and steal their loot, then escape with it. Oh, that's cool. So it's not direct competition in one sense. Not fighting to kill each other. He stuffed it up. I think you gotta not spin the snake into those crates. Try that again. Might wrap up after I finish this level too. It's been a lot of fun though. And we got lots of new recommendations. Book recommendations, game recommendations, film recommendations. I'm walking away with some homework here. As far as big live service games go, there are much worse ones. Yeah. Does it do that typical like live service kind of like Insidious kind of battle passy kind of thing, you know? Which is what I've always struggled to wrap my head around. I don't know. I'm the kind of person who would probably get hooked on those if I happen to like the game, and I don't really want to get hooked on them, so I tend to steer clear for the sake of my own mental health. I know my limits, you know. Just cosmetics, that's good at least. Not sort of breaking the game in any sense. By sort of having pay to win kind of stuff. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, now we just have to do this really hard platforming segment. Jumped too early, stuffed it up. But this is, yeah, part of what I love so much about Crash Bandicoot games is bits like this. Because it's all about timing. And it's put together so well. Because all of the elements you know and you recognize. And you need to do things in the exact right order, and it doesn't seem that hard, but it can actually be hard to sort of put into practice and remember all the steps. Kind of like doing a dance or something. Really, yeah, rhythmic. Okay. Now I gotta do this, but... Ah! No. Love the music though. It's the final boss music. Final boss music placed over this bonus level. Almost painfully close. But you can see how it works. It's like putting together a puzzle, you know. Really infectious in that way. I was hoping I could do that, but I don't think there's any way to do that. We'll try one more time doing it the way I did it before. The sound of the TNT as well as that's one of those things that stuck with me since I was a child. Well, I have trouble with platformers like this. When it comes to rhythm games, I can remember the steps to do well because of the accompanying music. But like I forget everything instantly in games because the cues are more visual. Yeah. Well, that's a really great point. I think and I think we're all different learners in terms of how we absorb information, and that's part of it. Like if you're asking a player to sort of encode visual data and memorize that can be really hard for some people, and it's not easy for me either sometimes. But this is sort of the perfect level of complexity, right? Do I enjoy puzzle games? I'm playing some of those recently on top of everything else. I haven't played a good. I mean, point and clicks. I play games with puzzle elements. I think the last proper puzzle game I played it started with G. It was like Gorgoa or something. The one where you're sort of zooming in and out of things. I found that one really entrancing. But I've not played any puzzle games recently off the top of my head. Played that earlier this year. Yeah, it's really cool, isn't it? It was really striking. Oh, nice. Nice to be able to share video games with everybody. I hope I get to keep the key just because I died. Oh man, I never liked that. Okay. Almost there. Terrible audible learner, especially when it comes to tutorials. I usually forget them immediately if they're mostly audio. Yeah, I'm a visual / written learner, 100%. If you were to give me purely audio, which I know is ironic because what I'm doing is giving purely audio most of the time. I do include captions on my videos. I really struggle to absorb. I guess if I'm trying to concurrently like follow the tutorial and sort of like do the work that the tutorialist is sort of showing us, the tutor is showing us, I find that difficult to do. Like YouTube tutorials where they're sort of asking you to follow along. I have to pause and stop a lot of the time, whereas I'd prefer if it was just a written tutorial, and I could read it at my own pace, so I don't have to stop and start it all the time. Music seems to have the opposite effect though, despite being audio, maybe because of the rhythm. I can't play any music, and I'd be a terrible musician, but I love music, and I know I've been told by a couple of people that I seem to have a natural sense of rhythm, but music theory, I think that was what did me in. Couldn't stand this stuff. But yeah, adore music. Can focus on that while I'm doing something else perfectly fine. Because I needed those lives. Is that all the boxes? One more. Music theory killed any hopes I ever had of being a musician. Same. I couldn't handle it. It did my head in. Amazing to hear about how different the mind processes things despite the fact our brains are so similar. Personally, I pretty much never seem to be able to remember things unless I introduce rhythm, so I tend to make up songs about things to remember. That's a really cool way of remembering them though. I like that a lot. Love playing instruments, but always skip music theory. Yeah, I was the same. And then inadvertently, I think sadly, the focus on music theory, at least at my school, killed any interest that I had in actually learning how to continue playing any instruments. So yes, sadly won't be playing any ballads on the guitar anytime soon. So this is a new level. I didn't play this one last time because I just unlocked it. So see if I can run through this level. Oh, that's nice, yeah. But to your point, yeah, Frankaloons, I think it's interesting that we can't imagine, but we can do a damn good job of imagining. Like, we can recognize elements of our own thought and thought processes and cognition inside other people's head and experiences, even if it's not accurate to what they're actually thinking and doing. We can still sort of try and approximate it. Yeah, so while we can never know exactly what another person is thinking, we can still try, and I think that's why art can be so interesting and why it's so important to study art, because we can get all of these different experiences from it. Cool, that was close. Sometimes I wonder about Crash's hitbox, honestly. This level doesn't have any checkpoints, does it? It's meant to be one of the harder ones. No checkpoints and it's in the dark. Oh no, there's one checkpoint, that's alright. Anytime I think too much about the fact I've got no way of knowing what other colors are, yeah. Reality is subjective if you're thinking at that stage, right? All of a sudden, yeah, sort of. Is what I see the same as everyone else? And yeah, that really does my head in as well. Start trying to untangle that, you find yourself probably tangling yourself up even further, talking yourself around in circles. Going too fast. Got 5 minutes to finish this level. I can do it. Think about that with food. Interesting. I'm still alive. Philosophizing is for chumps. Live in ignorance. That's where it's at. Bury your head in the sand. Who needs knowledge or, yeah, more complex understanding of the human condition when you can just shut it all out? Oh my god, what is happening? Oh, I missed one box, but I got to the end of the level. That's alright. Thanks everyone for indulging this. This was yeah, just a way for me to unwind. Still absolutely bloody exhausted, but it was still nice to be able to play something and not feel an obligation to engage with depressing and scary horror stuff. This is just a nice way to kick back and relax and yeah, have a nice chat. I find this game is conducive to a good chat. Made your day. Oh, that's really good to hear. I'm glad. No, I had a lot of fun doing this. So yeah, thanks everyone. I'll just save it, and hopefully you'll see me again for an hour and a half or so later in the week. Hoping I make it here early enough to join into the meat talks next time. Hopefully, yeah, it'll be great to see you there. And I'm glad you made it, regardless of when you turn up. It's always nice to see you. But no, I should head off and probably have a lie down, judging by how tired I feel. But yeah, thank you all. Almost at 100%. Thank you. See you all later. Stay safe. Have a good week.